I'm doing a screen time challenge right now, and what started as a productivity experiment turned into something very interesting. And I started noticing changes in my health data, body metrics, along with my productivity metrics. So I went down a rabbit hole, and what I found is genuinely fascinating. Both the biology of what screens do to your sleep and the engineering of how your watch detects it. And that's what this video is, part science, part system design. By the end, you'll understand what exactly your sleep score is measuring, why screens tank it, and how your watch figures all of this out while you're sleeping. Let's get into it. Most people check their sleep score in the morning and either feel good or feel guilty about it. Almost no one knows what went into that number. Your sleep score isn't just total hours, it's a weighted composite of four inputs. Input 1 is the total sleep time but weighted, not raw. 7 consolidated hours scores higher than 8 fragmented hours. The left one is my very high sleep score with only one wake up interruption. The right one is my lowest sleep score with 10 wake up interruptions. The algorithm penalizes wake events and light sleep that keeps interrupting your deeper cycles. If screens are keeping you up scrolling until midnight, you're not going to bed late, you're silently shrinking your consolidated sleep window without realizing it. Input 2 is time in each sleep stage. Your watch is trying to estimate how much of your night was deep sleep versus REM sleep versus light sleep. Deep sleep is when your body does physical repair, the tissue recovery, immune function, the brain trying to flush out metabolic waste through what's called the lymphatic system. REM is when you consolidate memory and process emotion. Both are heavily weighted in your score. A long sleep night with low deep sleep is a red flag. You slept a lot but didn't recover well. Input 3 is consistency. Your circadian rhythm is a biological clock. It releases cortisol and melatonin on a schedule. Irregular bedtimes, even with the same total hours, disrupt that schedule. A 7-hour night at the same time every night will outscore a 9-hour night that varies 2 hours each day. Input 4 is your heart rate during sleep. This one is least visible and the most impacted by screens. During healthy deep sleep, your resting heart rate dips 10 to 20% below your daytime baseline. That dip is your nervous system shifting into parasympathetic recovery mode. If it doesn't dip because your nervous system is still activated, your score takes a hit, even if you slept 8 hours. We'll come back to how your watch actually reads this. My heart rate from my best night's sleep, it ranged between 53, that was minimum, to 64, that was maximum. How screens break all four of this. So, where do screens interfere? Two mechanisms, and they are distinct. Mechanism 1 is blue light and melatonin. The screens on your device emit light in the 450 to 490 nanometer wavelength range. That's the blue end of the visible spectrum. Your eyes contain specialized receptors called the intrinsically photosensitive retinal ganglion cells, or the IPRGCs, that are specifically tuned to this wavelength. When they detect blue light, they send a signal to the suprachiasmatic nucleus in your hypothalamus, which is essentially your master circadian clock, telling it it's still daytime, don't release melatonin yet. Research published in 2024 found that just 2 hours of exposure to an LED screen in the evening produced 55% decrease in melatonin and delayed melatonin onset by an average of 1.5 hours compared to reading a printed book under low light. That's not a small effect. That directly delays your sleep onset and compresses your deep sleep window and shifts your circadian timing. Mechanism 2 is the content itself. This one is underappreciated. Even if you somehow neutralize the blue light, night mode, blue light glasses, the content on your screen is still a physiological stressor. Notifications trigger a cortisol response, so make sure to turn off notification for apps that aren't important. Social comparison activates your threat detection system. News keeps your amygdala engaged. A 2024 expert panel from the National Sleep Foundation found that screen content, independent of light, impairs sleep health because it maintains cognitive and emotional arousal that directly prevents the nervous system shift your body needs to enter deep sleep. So it's not just the light, it's what you're looking at. Both mechanisms work against all four of your sleep score inputs simultaneously. Now let's look at how your watch actually knows all of this. This is the part I find genuinely fascinating as someone who has worked in tech product. Your watch has no idea what you are dreaming about. It can't directly observe your brain, and yet every morning it gives you a breakdown of your sleep stages, your heart rate curve, your HRV. How? It starts with a technology called photoplethysmography. PPG. That's the green light flashing on the underside of your watch. Here's how PPG works. The watch emits green light LED light, specifically in the 525 to 565 nanometer wavelength range, into the tissue on your wrist. Blood is red, which means it absorbs green light. When your heart beats, blood flow to the wrist increases momentarily, absorbing more green light. Between beats, less blood is flowing, so less green light is absorbed, and more is reflected back to the sensor. The photodiode on the watch detects these tiny fluctuations in reflected light hundreds of times per second and uses that signal to calculate your heart rate and heart rate variability. The key insight is this: your watch isn't measuring your sleep directly, it's measuring your cardiovascular signals and inferring your sleep from them. How does it go from pulse signal to sleep stages? This is where machine learning enters. The raw PPG signal is noisy. Motion artifacts from turning over in bed, variations in skin contact, temperature changes. The device first runs signal processing filters to clean the data. Then it combines the cleaned heart rate signal with accelerometer data from the motion sensor in your watch, detecting whether you are still or moving and at what intensity. That combined data set, the heart rate patterns plus the movement patterns, is fed into trained machine learning model. That model has been trained on thousands of people who simultaneously wore clinical polysomnography equipment, that is the gold standard sleep study, alongside a smartwatch. So the model learned to map the wrist signals to verified sleep stage labels. Current research shows smartwatch sleep staging achieves around 76 to 79% accuracy for classifying four sleep stages, roughly the same as the human expert agreement rate. When two sleep technicians independently score the same somnography data, which, when you think about it, is remarkable for a device on your wrist. The output of all of this clean signal, machine learning inference, accelerometer fusion gets packaged into the sleep score you see every morning. And here's the sleep time connection crossing the loop. Your phone activates your nervous system. Your nervous system elevates your heart rate and suppresses your heart rate dip. Your watch reads that elevated signal via PPG. The machine learning model interprets it as reduced sleep depth. Your score drops, your watch knew before you did. That's not magic, that's sensor engineering. What to actually do? The one change with the most downstream impact across all four inputs: create a 60 to 90 minute screen free window before bed. I like to do coloring with my daughter before going to bed. It gives melatonin time to rise naturally. It lets cortisol drop. It allows your nervous system to shift into parasympathetic state. Your watch will later detect as a healthy heart rate dip. Over 2 weeks, it also begins to stabilize your circadian consistency, which is your input 3. My sleep heart rate ceiling dropped noticeably in weeks 2 to 3 after I started my screen time challenge. Max sleep heart rate before the challenge, that is pre-April 30, peaked at 99 to 119 beats per minute across multiple weeks. Weeks 2 and 3 after challenge, that is May 13 to May 16, max dropped to 85 and then 72. That's a meaningful reduction in peak arousal during sleep. May 10 to 16 is my cleanest after week. Sleep heart rate was 54 to 72 beats per minute. And that upper range of 72 is the lowest max in the entire data set, compared to the 99 to 119 spikes in late March and mid-April. That is a 40% reduction in peak sleep heart rate. May 17 to May 23 shows a spike back to 120 beats per minute during sleep. I had a regression week. This was stress, and I am not so surprised by the spike, but how accurate this is. This week has been so super stressful due to work, and it clearly shows here. I have also mentioned every day on my daily screen time challenge this week how work has been busy. Minimum heart rate during sleep is very consistent, 52 to 56 beats per minute throughout. My floor didn't change much. What changed is the ceiling. The body's recovery floor was always there. The screen time challenge reduced the peaks, meaning fewer arousal events disrupting my sleep. This is a weekly range data, not a controlled experiment. I was randomly looking at my health data and got lost into the rabbit hole. If you want to run the same experiment, the data collection guide is in my Instagram carousel, link in the description. What I find most interesting about all of this is the framing shift it creates. Your sleep score isn't a grade, it's a feedback loop. And now you understand the inputs on both sides, what's degrading it and how the technology reads the evidence. That's what I want this channel to be, not just what to do, but why it works and how the systems around us are designed. If that's useful to you, subscribe. I post new video every Saturday. I'll see you next week.